Hey skiers, I'm Jeff from skiessentials.com. Welcome to our weekly Top 5 Fridays ski industry news videos. This is actually maybe going to be the quickest Top 5 Fridays ever, and I'll explain why in a little bit. Before we get into the news, we are still in the month of February. That means you still have, you've got 2 more days basically, or like 2.5 more days to enter photos in the Blizzard Ski Happy Photo Contest. You could win a pair of Bonafide 97s, so definitely enter that if you can. Anyone that was a runner-up in the December contest, if you happen to be watching, sincerest apologies that you haven't received your runner-up prizes yet. We've been patiently awaiting for those items to arrive from Fisher, and there's obviously been a pretty significant delay. So we'll get that stuff out to you as soon as we can. I'll try and throw in some extra stuff because you guys have been waiting very patiently. That's about it. We started our newest video series called What's in Your Quiver yesterday. So if you haven't seen that, go check that out. We started with Bob. He kind of, he brings his quiver up here and walks through his quiver and kind of explains what he uses each ski for. Seems like you guys really liked it, so we're going to plan on doing more. We'll probably do mine next, but we got a lot of people on our staff, and I think it's going to be really interesting to go through each person and kind of look at the differences in everybody's quiver. So with that said, we can get right into the news. This is a very competition-heavy Top 5 Fridays. And what I'm going to do is not tell you the results in the second topic or the fourth topic, or really the third topic too, because there aren't any results for that yet. Because I'd really like to encourage you guys to watch those events if you haven't already. I always find that it's just a little bit less enjoyable to watch a full event like that if you already know the results. So we do have some things to talk about. It's not just going to be a completely boring news week, but yeah, that's what I meant by we'll get through things pretty quickly. First up, we have our typical FIS World Cup recap. All wrapped up in Cortina. The World Championships, I think, went really, really well. There were some struggles at the beginning of that event. They had some weather issues. They had to kind of postpone some events, and it got a little messy at the start. But ultimately, I think it went really, really well. Some really good racing. Cortina does an excellent job putting together a race course. So pretty cool. Since we talked last week, Michaela Schifrin picked up another medal. She got a third in the final slalom race. So yeah, I mean, really good to see. I'm pretty sure her total was 5 medals. I don't know why I'm like blanking on that stat. I didn't write it down, but yeah, pretty sure she picked up 5 medals in the World Championships, which is huge. And we'll talk a little bit more about Michaela in a second. First, big shout out to Ben Ritchie. He picked up a 13th in the men's slalom, the men's final slalom race. That was his first ever career points finish. And Ben's just 20 years old, so it's pretty exciting to see a young skier like that earn some FIS points, and it allows us to kind of speculate on like maybe that'll be a really fun career to watch. There was a downhill race also. They've moved on from Cortina, so there was a downhill race today in Val di Fassa. Breezy Johnson finished in 5th, continuing her impressive season. Really, really strong skiing from Breezy. There's actually kind of like an outside chance, I'm pretty sure the math still works, that she could take the overall downhill title, mostly because Sophia is out with some injuries for the rest of the season, so it's kind of leaving the door open. But I'm pretty sure the last math I looked at, she had to average a 3rd place in the remaining races. So a 5th is really good, but maybe not quite enough if she wants that title. That's a pretty lofty goal. And then going back to Michaela, she had a very heartfelt letter and kind of social media post that was, I just thought it was really nice to read from Michaela. She talked a lot about the struggles that she's gone through and really what it took for her to get back to where she is now. Not so much physically and like her ability level, but much more mentally and just how she went about her day-to-day life and the significant changes that she had to kind of manage to get back to, the top, the peak of the ski racing world. So great to see, and that's it for FIS updates. Second topic of the week, the Freeride World Tour is underway. We had 2 stops in Andorra, and this is where I am not going to tell you the results. We do have, in the written Top 5 Fridays, which there's always a link to in this video, we did put in both the Freeride World Tour full stops, the recap or the replays of both of those full stops. Really entertaining as always. Snow conditions weren't ideal. Kind of a mixture of wind buffed and a little bit of a crust layer in there too. So not like perfect for the athletes to ski at their best or to be like, as aggressive as they can be. So they had to be a little bit more reserved in some situations. But pretty exciting to see. It's still kind of unknown how many total events that we'll get to. We talked about their goal is to get to 5, all in Europe. Next stop is in Austria in about a week. So we'll see how that goes, and then we'll kind of speculate on what the 4th and 5th stops might be or whether those will happen. Now, the third topic of the week, the X Games Real Ski edits are live. If you're unfamiliar with Real Ski, basically the X Games picks a selection of athletes and tasks them with making, I think, about a 90-second edit. In the past, it's been mostly urban skiing, and I'd say it's still at least 50% urban skiing, but they opened up the format a little bit more this year and allowed athletes to use footage from basically anything. So there's a lot of backcountry stuff in there as well. The 6 athletes that we have edits from are Alex Hackle, who's a great guy. Good job, Alex. Tanner Hall, Lupe Haggerty, also another great guy. I know both those guys reasonably well. Ferdinand Dahl, Alex Hall, and Taylor Lundquist, which is really cool because that marked the first female competitor in real ski. And I saw a lot of feedback from people saying things like, hey, this is awesome. This is awesome that you included Taylor in this contest, but like it kind of begs the question, like, why don't we just have a women's real ski? I think there are easily enough talented female skiers out there to have their own division. So let's do it. Voting for this ends Sunday night. The winner will be announced on Monday. So go check them out. We actually dropped in 2 highlights. We have Alex Hall's and Taylor's edits in the written Top 5 Fridays, so you don't have to go to the actual X Games Real Ski page, but you do if you want to vote. So I would definitely encourage you to do that. Even if you're not really into this kind of skiing, give some respect to the athletes, so to speak, and take a little time out of your day and watch their skiing and vote for your favorite. And who knows, your favorite might be different than my favorite. Last topic of the week, Kings and Queens of Corbet's. Once again, just jaw-dropping skiing and riding from the athletes in that event. This is another one where I'm not going to tell you who won. You may know already Kings and Queens gets a fair amount of press, but I also think they do a pretty good job not just like putting out a bunch of headlines that say who won. What's really cool about Kings and Queens of Corbet's is there are skiers and snowboarders, men's and women, but men and skiers and snowboarders, men and women, but they don't separate skiing and snowboarding. So basically all the men are competing against each other, skiers and riders, and then all the women are competing against each other, skiers and riders. And then it's also a 100% rider or athlete judged competition. So they all take their runs and then they later vote or judge, and then a winner is announced. So yeah, if you haven't seen it, go watch Kings and Queens of Corbet's. It's incredible. It is longer, but what I found is it's pretty easy to like kind of skip through. You can kind of get a sense of how long it is between each athlete and start just like kind of clicking through the timeline so you don't have to watch a full 2 hours of coverage. Although it wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing if you did, because it is a really well put together event. And that's it for topics. Lastly, we have our edits of the week. First is one from Burlaps. It's called Beat Pad. It's basically an 8-minute short film that's all really, really good powder skiing. Line skis. This was an edit put out by Line Skis, or a Line crew rather. Line always has unique athletes. We've had a few different Burlaps edits recently. Always a pleasure to watch. Second edit of the week is Stop 2 of the Freeride World Tour. So Stop 1, the recap, was a little further up on the written article. So Stop 2 is in that second spot for edits. The next two are the real ski highlights, Taylor and Alex Hall. But yeah, like I said earlier, I would definitely encourage you to go watch the other 4 and then vote. And then Chris Benchetler has a short little 90-second edit with GoPro called One Line at Mammoth. I lived in Mammoth 15 years ago. I lived in Mammoth 15 years ago. Have been back a handful of times since, and this edit just really made me miss Mammoth. I think mostly just how sunny and bright it looks. But I love the terrain out there, and I think this is really cool and kind of shows the current state of Mammoth. They do some cool stuff out in the hemlocks and stuff like that. So that's it for Top 5 Fridays. Hope you're all able to get out on snow this weekend. We talked about Ski Happy at the beginning. Next week we'll be announcing kind of the top 3 on our Instagram page, and then letting you guys choose the winner out of those top 3 photos like we've been doing all season. So get your entries in this weekend while you still can, and then look out for that announcement. And we'll probably be able to announce the winner in next week's Top 5 Fridays. That timing should work out pretty perfectly, so that would be kind of fun. So yeah, hopefully you guys can all get out and do some skiing, and we'll talk to you next week.